Good friend, Donna Gelfus. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Donna, you will be missed. A lot of people.
Bill,
Here.
Andy Dixon,
Present.
Lydia Patty-Rafiti is excused. Chris Petrus,
Here.
Eileen McNabb Coleman. Present. Bob Shay,
Here.
Hans Petcher,
Here.
Mark Strong,
Here.
Heidi Nightingale. Present. Elaine Daly. Here. Tricia Kerr. Here. Christina Clarko. Here. Michael Didio is excused. Brian Muldrow.
Here. Here. Okay, let me open the public hearing at 5:35 for 315-294-8051. If you wish to speak on the public hearing on Cayuga County application for Community Development Block Grant Economic Development Funds. Okay, we'll leave that open for at least an hour. Okay, proclamation. Kathleen, would you like to come up? Okay, breastfeeding week in Cayuga County. I think I just read this a year.
I think you did.
Whereas in our society it is an important civic responsibility and a great honor for any governmental body to grant public recognition, admiration, and gratitude to these very citizens who have helped build this community and influence the future of its citizens. And whereas breastfeeding is one of the best gifts you can give your baby. It helps strengthen the bond between mother and baby, protects infants from a variety of health issues, including colds, ear infections, and even helps protect against childhood obesity. And whereas the Cayuga County Health Department, including women, infant, and children, WIC, Supplemental Nutrition Program, and our community partners promotes and supports breastfeeding as an optimal source of infant nutrition. Whereas Cayuga County celebrates the Cayuga County Health Department, including the WIC Supplemental Nutrition Program for assisting women with breastfeeding by readily providing certified lactation counselors and WIC peer counselors together with the staff to actively promote breastfeeding and offer support to women enrolled in their maternal child health programs and WIC supplemental nutrition program. And whereas the Cayuga County Health Department, together with our WIC supplemental nutrition program, joins professional health organizations and breastfeeding advocates worldwide in celebrating World Breastfeeding Week on August 1st through the 7th. Of each year, collaborate and raise awareness of the numerous benefits of breastfeeding to strengthen individual, family, and community support for breastfeeding, to further strategize that promote breastfeeding practices and to support increased breastfeeding rates. And whereas in its recognition of World Breastfeeding Week, the Cayuga County Health Department with Supplemental Nutrition Program participates in events to celebrate and raise awareness of breastfeeding in the community. And whereas the Cayuga County Health Department with Supplemental Nutrition Program provide breastfeeding education support to all interested people in our community with conjunction of our partners, including offering well-checked calls to new mothers giving birth at Auburn Community Hospital. Now for there it be resolved in appreciation of breastfeeding mothers and dedicated people and communities who support their efforts. I, Dave Gould, Chairman of the Cayuga County Legislature, and fellow legislators do hereby proclaim our gratitude and urge the residents of Cayuga County to join with us in recognizing World Breastfeeding Week, August 1st to the 7th. Congratulations. You want to say a few words?
I'll say thank you for this recognition. I'll be sharing it with our WIC office tomorrow. We'll pop over there and say hello. They're in a great newer location for any of you who haven't seen it. And they work so hard and so well with families in our community, as do our nurses, breastfeeding being one of the services they provide. So they'll really appreciate this recognition. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathleen. Okay, we have one more proclamation, which I gave to Trish a week or two ago. National Health Center Week, August 6th through August 12th. And Trish presented that at East Hill Medical Do you want to say a few words about that, Trish?
Yeah, East Hill Medical, we were celebrating National Health Center Week, which is celebrated across the country, recognizing federally qualified health centers. It's a special category of health center that essentially serves everybody regardless of ability to pay. And East Hill has been in the community for over 50 years, offering integrated health services, including primary care. We're expanding to behavioral health. We also do dental. And we have sliding fee structure. So if we can't afford to pay, we're not going to turn you away. We want you to come through the doors and get the health care you deserve. We really appreciate Dave. You recognizing East Hill, and we also had Senator May's office representing her as well as the city. And it was a nice event. Even though it rained and we got shuttled last minute, Hildegard opened the doors for us, and it turned out really nice.
Thank you, Trish, very much. We have a presentation, our yearly audit presentation. There you go. Luke, is it?
Yes, Luke Malaki.
Nice to see you, Luke. Thank you. Welcome here.
Good evening, Legislature. I am Luke Malaki, the engagement partner of your external audit. We are in the concluding phases, just waiting on a couple of minor remaining pieces of audit documentation. Purpose of tonight's presentation is just to run through briefly the products of our audit and a real quick overview of the financial statement update for the year ended December 31st, 2022. So if you could flip to the next slide. The products of our audit, we are hired as the external auditors, which means we audit the basic financial statements. What we do is perform a series of tests to determine whether or not a reader of your financial statements can reasonably rely on the financial statements as they present the financial position of the county as of December 31st and the activity that there ended. We do anticipate issuing an unmodified clean opinion, which is what you would be looking for as far as a governmental entity. In other words, we do feel that they do reasonably represent without material misstatement the financial position of the county. Additionally, as a municipal entity, you are subject to government auditing standards within the United States, which requires us to look at internal controls as they relate to the financial statements. At times, items may come to our attention that would warrant the attention of the governing body, which would be your legislature, and those could at times cause material weaknesses. I'm pleased to say that we had no such findings, so a clean bill of health as far as your internal control structures as it relates to the financial statements as well. As part of our audit, we do perform what's referred to as a single audit. A single audit is a test around federal awards. This past year, we tested 6 different programs, including the ARPA program. Each of those came back with no findings as well. So for all the checks and balances surrounding what an audit is required, an unmodified clean opinion, no significant deficiencies, no material weaknesses, and no federal award findings. A couple other pieces of information that we will release in the coming weeks. The management letter has a couple of areas that we saw could use some improvement in best practices, largely related to the continued transition from the treasurer set of financial to a finance director. We think that there could be a revisitation of the processes surrounding journal entries as well as cash, and really just kind of a countywide revisiting of how the structure should flow with the new finance director position. So a process that started a couple of years ago, and it's going to continue probably for the next few as you're learning the new director of finance versus treasurer. The next bullet there is an auditor communication letter. I won't dive too much into that. We did discuss it with management, but it does basically go over some of the key responsibilities of our firm, as well as the key responsibility of management of your county. Within there is also discusses some key estimates, as well as the accounting policies and changes in procedures. One minor implementation of a government auditing standards board statement related to leases. Nothing really changing on the budget side, so I'll save you the board about getting too much to detail on that. The next bullet is the New York State Department of Transportation report. With this one is basically relates to your CHIPS, EWR, and Pave New York money, very similar to the single audit where we would have to go in and test these areas that are getting grant money from the state. No findings within that program as well. So very briefly, if you can go to the next slide, actually skip another one, just looking at the financial trends for the year. The top line, as you'll see, is the blue line, and the gap between the blue and the red line still consistently is shown from 21 to 22. In the year ended December 31st, 22, this is focused on the general fund, had about $157.4 million of revenues. That's up 6.8%. So a very favorable trend on that. We'll get into a little bit more of the specifics of what drove that increase on a future slide. But I will point out that bump did not compare as strongly as the 20 to 21, which increased 15.2. Across the state in 20 to 21, we saw sales tax increase dramatically, anywhere from 15 to 30% at counties throughout the state. This past year, that kind of it cooled down a little bit, went to more like 2 to 5% increase, and your county was no different. The expense side of things remained very consistent as far as the trend goes. In the past year, in 2022, expenditures increased total by about 8.4 million. Comparatively, last year in 21, those increased by about 8.7. What ended up happening, as you can see on the bottom far right of that, is you saw your fund balance increase by $4.3 million to an ending fund balance of 43.2. On the next slide, you'll see the key components of revenues. Revenues, as I said, increased $6.2 million over the past year. A bulk of that was in state and federal aid. State and federal aid increased by about $5 million. 2.5 million of that is ARPA, was recognized in 2022. As of December 31st, 2022, there's still about $12 million of ARPA funds outstanding. Within our management letter, we will put a comment in there regarding just a reminder that clock is ticking. Those funds will need to be obligated by December 31st, 2024, which is a short 16 months away. Fortunately, there's progression as far as the use of those. So if you get handcuffed on your ARPA plan and some vendors aren't available to do the initial plan, the Omnibus 2023, which is starting to be discussed, and I believe it's still in its final, it's not quite in its final stages, is introducing 3 new areas of spending within the ARPA award. That would be related to emergency disasters that will be weather related, such as a FEMA disaster, as well as paving projects. And they actually noted on the NACO site, that National Association of Counties site, that you can use that actually as the local match share of a federal grant. So another good opportunity to use some money to improve some county roads, as well as within the CDBG funding. So they are trying to get that money to push that out there. Probably more of a relevant topic next year at this time, but it's never, we saw how fast the first half of the award program went, and now it's kind of the clock is ticking forward that way. The other half of that state and federal area increase really is another statewide shift, is that we saw 2022 become the first full year back from COVID. So a lot of these programs that kind of went on pause in 2020 and 2021 were reintroduced. So simultaneously we saw more state and federal aid coming into our counties, your county alike, as well as some of the social service expenditures within economic assistance started to get back on those trends that we saw earlier in 2018, 2019 years. You also see a slight increase in your non-property tax items. That's $600,000 increase from that sales tax. As I said, not quite as dramatic as last year's increase, but still a positive in the right direction there. The gray portion is real property tax and tax items. That $1 million increase is mostly from sales of real property, which would be the auctions, and then as well as a little bit of about $150,000 of interest and penalties accounted for that $1 million increase on the revenue side. The next slide takes a look at expenditures. Expenditures we saw that your expenditures increased 8.4, so outpaced revenues. But still, you still saw an increase in fund balance. The biggest driver is the increase in general government support, about 2.4 million. About $750,000 of that was related to ARPA spending, some building improvements, as well as an allocation to the Flow and Water District. Also, $250,000 was a distribution of sales tax, an additional distribution of sales tax to the local municipalities. You do collect an addition, the lump sum, and then pass that on to the local municipalities. And then finally, another big variance in that item was the purchase of a lot of IT and computer equipment to get within that general government support. The other two increases that we saw within economic assistance and opportunity, which is the second portion, and then the third from the bottom, which is health, went up by about $2 million. Economic assistance and opportunity, as I said, is a trend that we're seeing across the state as we get back into that full gear from the previous COVID time. People and municipalities being able to carry on the social service programs that existed prior to COVID, everything going back into full gear. And the other one was with the health. We saw a lot of new programs introduced during COVID related to immunization grants, the epidemiology grants, as well as mental health programs. So many counties saw a similar increase. Fortunately, for the taxpayers, a lot of those are funded by state and federal aid. The last little bump in expenditures is the farthest to the bottom, which transfers out. And that increased by about $1 million as some of your increase in fund balance was transferred into the capital projects fund to take on some new projects within the county. So where's your fund balance at the end of the year? On the next slide, you'll see your total fund balance of $43.5 million is comprised. It's technically comprised of 5 different components, but what we do is break it down into 2 different. The unassigned portion, which is the blue portion, which would be considered kind of your rainy day, that's your available fund balance. The GFOA, which is the Government Finance Officers Association, likes to suggest, and they're really the only ones that will suggest any amount to that you'd want to keep about 2 months of spending, really to just kind of keep your operations floating until those tax collections come in. So that would be about 16.667% of your annual operating expenses. Well, you're at $25,250,000. That actually equates to 16.5%. So right within that GFOA recommended range on there.
And that's with the 4 coming back, that 25?
The 4,
That includes-
the increase, yes.
yes,
This is your
okay.
ending fund balance
Yep.
as December 31st, 2022. So yes, the $4 million went into 3.7 of that went into the blue portion, which is the unassigned, to kind of get it up to that GFOA recommended level. And about $1 million of it went into that red portion. So the red portion is a little bit more restrictive. There's 4 different types of restrictions that you have within there. Non-spendable, that you can't touch. That's like a prepaid asset. That's not a cash item. So that there's about $2 million in there. You also have a restricted fund balance. Within your restricted fund balance is a restriction of $10 million for capital projects, as well as a small $50,000 restricted for public safety. And new to this year, as a result from the pharmaceutical settlements going throughout New York State, there's $300,000 in there for the opioids treatment. Within there, there's also a very small amount for committed for capital projects of $80,000. And then the final portion, which did see a little bit of an increase, is your assigned fund balance went up by about $1 million. And the reason for that is the amount that is allocated for next year's budget, which would be the 2023 budget, went up from $2 million in 22 to $3 million in 23. So giving some of that money back to the tax base. So all told, the combination of those kind of earmarked or restricted funds totals $18.2 million. So on the last slide is my contact information, as well as the manager that saw the work. So if you have any questions, be happy to address them now, or if they come up as you're going through the materials that we'll distribute shortly, you'll be able to go through that. We are waiting on a couple of your component unit financial statement numbers. We have your financial statements all set and ready to distribute. Once we get those component unit financial information, we'll be able to put those in there, and we'll circulate draft financial statements to your finance director. And if you'd like to copy of that, I'm sure you'd be able to reach out to her and she'll distribute that. The plan would be to circulate those drafts at some point next week. And then we will plan to release in mid-September, right on time for the September 30th deadline with the federal government. So if there's any questions, be happy to entertain them now. If not, as I said, our contact information is on this paper. And if any legislator would like a hard copy of this, I did give a handful to Grace.
Anybody, any questions for Lou? Great job. I'm sure there may be in the future.
That's quite fine. Thank you. Thanks to everyone here, and thanks especially to Grace and her team.
Thanks, Lou.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the public hearing. There may be somebody here that would like to speak to the public hearing, I'm told. Right?
I'm Maureen Reister. I'm the Economic Development Specialist for the Cayuga Economic Development Agency. New York State makes available approximately $50 million in CDBG funding annually to support economic development projects, as well as undertake housing, infrastructure, and public facility activities. These New York State CDBG funds are available to municipalities to assist for-profit businesses to create or retain employment, primarily for persons of low and moderate income. CDBG can fund up to 40% of a total project cost, not to exceed the maximum award amount of $750,000. Projects must result in the creation or retention of at least one full-time equivalent job for every $15,000 of funds awarded. There is also an incentive for businesses of 25 or fewer employees of up to $25,000 to job, not to exceed $100,000. Cayuga County is applying for a standalone CDBG Economic Development Fund to assist Courier Plastics with their expansion project in the town of Aurelius. The county is requesting up to $375,000 based on the creation of 25 jobs primarily held by or made available to low and moderate income persons. This is just one of the many economic development programs CETA assists with to help Cayuga County businesses. Thanks to the Cayuga County Legislature, CETA is able to offer these services for free, which helps spur our businesses to stay here and grow. Courier has had an exemplary track record of growth, and we support them in this new endeavor. Thank you for the time to speak on their behalf tonight.
Thank you, Maureen.
Hi, my name is Diane Piscotti. I'm the Director of Talent at Courier Plastics. Founded in 1982, Courier Plastics has thrived in this community for over 40 years. As we continue to expand our business, we're thankful for the county's ongoing support. Specifically, our most recent proposal is for further expansion in the healthcare market at our Cranebrook location in Aurelius. With funding, we'll be purchasing new machinery and auxiliary equipment for programs in vitro diagnostics. This $2 million project will bring 25 new positions to the area. In conjunction with the Cayuga Economic Development Agency, we are hopeful to continue our success here. Thank you again for your continued support.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Tell everybody at Courier Plastic how proud we are of them. It's a great business and I'm glad they're here. Thank you very much. Any questions for Diane at all? Okay, thank you again, Diane. Privilege of the floor. We have three different legislators. Privilege of the floor. Bob, why don't we start off with you?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to give Michael Miller an opportunity to speak briefly to the legislature.
Yep, Mike.
Evening, everyone. Once more, I'm Michael Miller. It's my pleasure to speak with you this evening, and thank you again, Legislator Shea, for sponsoring me and all of you for welcoming me here this evening. I'm addressing you in a personal capacity this evening, not a professional. As many of you know, I'm no longer associated with CETA, and I'm not here to discuss the circumstances around that event. Rather, I'm here to personally thank you for working with me over the last year, as well as that organization. It was one of the highest privileges and honors of my professional career, and it truly did mean the world to me personally. I say that because, and I do truly believe in the mission of the organization and the position I held there and what it meant towards the overall prosperity of our shared community. I've had the unique opportunity to meet with and understand the many people and organizations throughout our county that aim towards a similar goal. And some of those include our own County Economic Development Planning Office, that of the City of Auburn, the Office of Tourism, the Career Work Center, our educational partners, and the SVDC, CMY Regional Planning, and so many more. There are exceptional people working on behalf of this county, and they should always be recognized by our broader community. Really need that. I've also grown to truly appreciate the work that those of you in this chamber do on behalf of our community as well. I remain steadfastly optimistic for the future of this county and our region, and will be looking to support our future as I always have as a lifelong resident of this county. The opportunities before us are truly incredible, and this community ought to be proud of those individuals and organizations once again helping to make that happen, many of which aren't known and won't be known publicly ever. I sincerely appreciate and urge your continual support of those departments and organizations in the collective effort to make this county shine as it deserves. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Andy?
Yeah, where'd he go?
Herb?
Oh,
Hey.
I want to give privilege to the floor to Herbie Marshall because we have, it's not on tonight, but we have an emergency resolution that we have something that needs to be addressed this week. Herbie will explain.
Thank you, Andy and Chair Gould.
Thank you.
We are in the final stages of doing $170 million expansion for the milk plant. And they're due to get their final approval from the town of Aurelius on the 29th, a week from today. And for some reason, somebody has neglected to get on your agenda a fairly small item that has to be done for that. And that is, we need to abandon about 800 feet of road right away in the park, which the new addition is going to be on top of. And I have the manager of the milk plant and his buildings professor here, if there's any questions, but some way we need to get the abandonment of that before Aurelius will deal with giving them the permit. And if we do not get it in time for the 29th, it will set back the start of the construction on that substantially. And if, Brian, would you like to maybe explain just a little bit how important?
Sure. Brian Lenny, CEO of Cayuga Milk Ingredients. We're building a $170 million project, really funded 100% by the 21 dairy farmer families that own us. If we don't get started before winter, and I'll let Chip explain this, you know what the winters are like. I've been here for one winter. I heard it was an easy winter, so you're laughing. So it's really important that we get the foundation in, some of the groundwork done. And if we're doing a little bit of groundwork, but if we can't get involved with the foundations and some of the other things before putting up walls, it's really going to delay it. I'm going to say 6 months to a year, at least 6 months. I'll let you explain.
Yeah, essentially, we just need to, we have, sorry.
It's okay.
No, we just essentially,
This is Chip Eakin. He's our project manager for the project for us.
yes. And ultimately, all this comes down to the fact of being able to start foundations so that we can get the steel structure up and everything before winter so that we can do work inside the building, which would not be possible if we are delayed to the point where we can't actually get that structure. It's as simple as that.
All right, let me ask all three of you, okay? This is going to be approved by Aurelius on the 29th.
Correct.
So we need a resolution as quick as possible. It doesn't matter who didn't put it on there, but it is not on there. So for tonight. So can one of you or all three of you work with the county attorney's office? And we'll get it drawn up and we'll take it as an emergency resolution. Is that okay with everybody here? Jim, go ahead.
So on this piece of land, what is it?
Yeah, I'm confused too.
It's a road right away. He has
The road right away that the county owns?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering
Maybe you
too.
can explain this.
Yes. So basically this is the existing Cayuga Milk Ingredients facility. This is where our new project will be. There's a road that currently goes around in a loop that is part of the CCIDA land. And the only part of it that's actually owned by the county is this small piece of land that actually accesses this road. This road is ultimately going to be part of where the project is. So what we're trying to do is we're basically doing whatever we possibly can do to make sure that we can get the project done. So the only part that yes, I'm sorry.
I'll pass it around.
Yes.
So there's, I'm sorry.
No, but I'm.
So there's 600 foot of county road that you'd like us to.
Pass this around. This is right in front of a plant and it's actually a driveway and it's going to be abandoned.
I've been familiar with that.
Steve, while Jim's doing that, can you help us? I mean, you know about this.
If you'd like me to, I could.
I would like you to help, yeah.
Thank you.
Now, Andy only gave me 3 minutes.
Andy man.
Steve searched me through. Yeah.
Eagle Drive in Aurelius Park goes across the front of the milk plant and then makes a turn south towards Bosse's and goes about 600 feet to provide access to what is right now sort of a small employee parking lot.
Correct.
They're going to buy the parcel, which is to the west towards Half Acre Road, and expand the plant in that direction. Therefore, that access road that the county technically owns, because we put that road in when we did the first building of the plant, is no longer necessary. Ryan Soper, the highway superintendent, has indicated that he sees no use for that road. And he's actually happy to have less road to have responsibility for. So that is what they're asking the county to consider abandoning.
So they're asking us to consider abandoning the entire road or just the part where the project's gonna go over?
Just that part. Just this part, it amounts to approximately 1/2 acre of land.
So if we do that, there's gotta be a plow turnaround or something. I'm just
It's
asking.
not going to be a road anymore.
I'm supportive of the belt plan.
No, I understand. It's not going to be a road anymore.
So if that 600 feet starts at the intersection, you're asking us to abandon the whole thing?
Yes, if you picture it, I'll try to.
I've been out there, so I kind of trying to, but I
Yeah,
was wondering where it's stopping.
So basically, yes, this is the existing plant that is right in here. Sorry, everyone
Sorry.
can't see that. This is the existing plant that is in here. This is the original loop road that goes around. And this is the new project that we will be doing. So essentially what we are going to be doing is we're gonna create a turnaround for snow at the end of this road in the existing right of way that's there. So when this road gets abandoned, there won't be any services required for the county in order to maintain this road. So we will move all of that to that end of that road, sorry.
You say there's a loop. Who owns the rest of the loop? There is no rest of the loop on on this side of the plant towards Auburn. The road goes straight down and has a hammerhead sort of at the bottom. It does not go along the bottom and connect anything.
And the term abandoned means you can have it, we don't care. I mean, I'm trying to understand what abandoned means.
That's, under, and you can speak to that, Rich, under county law.
You're essentially conveying that property to them.
Okay, you can have it without.
It's no longer public highway, no longer road. It's gonna belong to them. They can do with it whatever.
Right.
And this will allow the town of Aurelius to say there's no obstacles in the way for us approving the site plan as proposed.
Okay.
And the only reason I'm calling for an emergency resolution is we don't want to wait another month for this to get done. Again, it should have been maybe done today, but it wasn't. So do you all mind if we do an emergency resolution next week? The 5 of us that need to sign that. Elena, you okay? Herb, are you okay? Who got Andy? Are you okay? Yep. And Mike's not here, so, and I'm okay. Is that okay with you, Rich? Can we draw that up?
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. If you need any help from us or with Chris, we will provide anything you want. But I really appreciate you letting us speak for a few minutes.
No.
And that will make sure that plant gets started.
Absolutely.
All right, your time's up, Herbie.
Between Courier Plastic and the milk plant and the several other businesses in the community, we couldn't do without you. So thank you for building here. Thank you for expanding here. And we'll help you all we can.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you
very
everyone.
much.
Thank you very much. We have one more privilege of the floor, Elaine.
Yes, I'd like to give Meg Osborne and Sherry Sabin privilege of the floor.
For LJ's Safe Place, which, as I believe you know, it's a drop-in center caring for and empowering youth in our community. I'm joined today by our Vice Chair, Sherry Sabin, and we truly appreciate your time and the opportunity to update you on some of the recent developments of LJ's Safe Place. So first of all, we opened up the center in March 2023, and we're operating out of a 2,000 square foot space in the car building just down the street here. It's been a very walkable, easy location for our youth to get to. In June 2023, we obtained our 501c3 status, and we've had over 250 visits from local youth since we opened. We've been supporting the drop-in center's operation with private donations, a GoFundMe campaign, and several fundraising events. In addition, our executive director, Wally Myers, has developed Love Greens, a company which grows and sells the most delicious microgreens locally, and the proceeds of at LJ's Safe Place. In addition to that, we're in the process of putting together an application for an Emerson grant, which we should be ready to submit in about 2 weeks. Our future plans include both educational and recreational events, trips, and opportunities for our youth, including but not limited to amusement parks, museums, college visits, support for youth entering a GED program. We already offer communal meals on a regular basis, but we also want to teach our kids the basics of healthy, budget-friendly nutrition and cooking. And finally, we think it's really important to engage the youth in community service so that they understand that they have the power to make a difference in our community. At this point, I'll turn the podium over to Sherry, and she'll tell you more specifically about our fundraising activities and what our youth do when they're at the center.
Thank you, Meg. And thank you all for the opportunity to share our experience with LJ's this evening. Like she said, I'm Sherry Sabin. And while she mentioned our GoFundMe page and fundraising, we've also sponsored a ping pong tournament at the building where there were 16 individuals, very raucous afternoons and profitable afternoons. And then the UNC Club sponsored a cornhole tournament that was very successful. We all had a great time. And a number of individuals have donated significant amounts of their personal money for this endeavor. I have been fundraising downtown here with the downtown businesses who have been very generous in their donations to support our next fundraiser, which is happening this coming Saturday at Curly's. It is a motorcycle run that Curly's is sponsoring. There will be food and music and raffles, and expect that to be very successful. It ends at noon or 1.
The registrations for the bikes are at noon. We're gonna ride at 1 and the party starts at 5.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard that. Registrations at noon, ride starts at 1. But we don't, the glory of it is we don't have to have a motorcycle to attend. So you're all invited and welcome. Moving on to the teens' activities that are available, include ping pong, movies, music, including donated drums and guitars. And my personal goal is to also have some music lessons attended with a music director, teacher, like Perform for Purpose that I'm part of. Someone from there step in and offer lessons weekly to a couple kids that may be interested. Cornhole, I said, we have cornhole, pool table, card games, and we also provide snacks and meals, as Meg mentioned. Wally has become quite the chef, feeding these kids, and they really chow down. And we also, lastly, have a personal care closet that the teens visit regularly for personal care needs. So if anyone would ever like to make donations there, that's appreciated also. Toothpaste, deodorant, paper towels, paper, toilet paper, that kind of thing. And it is abundantly clear to us that the community supports and endorses our mission, which is to provide a drop-in center for empowering the youth in our community in a safe, non-judgmental environment where they can thrive. Because we have children from many different
areas of the city, mostly the lower economic centers, and a very large cross of ethnicities. Everyone is welcomed, regardless of their gender as well. So thank you for letting us present. And I would also like to address and take any questions that anyone may have regarding an incident that happened a couple weeks ago. It was about 2 weeks ago because we had a board meeting that day. And my understanding was that a young man that left the center punched a 6-year-old boy. This occurred on the southeast side of the building where the driveway intersects the passing sidewalk on that side of the building. And when I left, the police were on site, a couple police cars, and they appeared to be at a house of 3 or 4 dwellings away from the car building down on 4th Street. So that's all I know. I know that the child had left the center. It did not happen on our watch building. So I don't, yes.
You said young man, how old was the young man?
I'm not even certain. I mean, he had to be 13.
Okay.
He had to be 13, between 13 and 17, because that is adhered to.
Okay.
And the 2 boys that were in the building when I left appeared to be about 14.
Okay, so has there been any other incidents like that?
Pardon me?
Has there been any other incidents like that?
No, that was.
So you had 2 teenage young kids arguing in a fight down the road?
Down the road. Nothing in the building. There have been a couple of instances that I've been aware of that one of the teens has been upset and has spent a long time, half an hour to an hour, talking with Wally in a very calm manner. And those 2 incidences that I'm aware of where the teens were so upset ended in a very placid situation.
And 2 incidents in how long of time?
Pardon me?
You said how long you guys been open?
When did we open? This March 6th. Yeah. And as we said, there's been 250 teens through that program since. And no incidents on the premises. And how do we know or control anybody once they leave the doors?
Okay. we
Anything
appreciate it.
else?
Sherry, Meg, thank you so very, very much. Nice to see you again.
Thank you very
You're welcome.
much.
Okay, communications, minister approved, July 25th, 2023, motion. Second, discussion, if not all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passed. Communications and announcements, none? Dr. Duran, I just see your name's on there somewhere.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great to be with you. Joining me tonight is trustee Stephanie Hutchinson. I'll be brief this evening. August, we continue to be in preparation for the start of the spring semester, which will begin next Monday. Faculty and staff have been busy advising and registering students, and as we prepare for the upcoming semester. Our board of trustees, we did not hold a July meeting. Instead, we're doing some planning retreat, starting to coordinate and develop the plans and strategies for the 23-24 academic year. And I'll look forward to next month being able to share some of that as we kick off the fall semester. On the construction side, progress continues to be made on our Workforce Development Center on Grant Avenue. Continue to work with Kelly King and the Office of Employment and Training and other partners from Cornell Cooperative Extension on some of the plans and programming opportunities that will be in front of us as we move ahead with that project later in 2024. And we continue to refine the design related to the police academy that we look to build out on the Fulton campus with a hope to put that out for bid in September to be able to stay on schedule for a late fall construction timeline to begin for that particular project as well. So from the college perspective, we did exceed our summer enrollment goals and exceeded our enrollment goals for this year, as I think I mentioned last month, and looking forward to having our faculty and staff back on campus and to be able to have more courses in person and continue to rebuild the vibrancy on the campus in this time. So I'd be happy to answer any questions and just want to provide a brief little update from the college.
Any questions for Dr. Duran? None at all? Okay. Brian, thank you very, very much.
Thank you all. Be well.
Have a good night. Committee reports and individual legislators reports. Elaine?
Thank you. Yes, sir. I have a statement to share with the legislature from the CETA board that I'd like to just go over tonight. The Cayuga Economic Development Agency Board recognizes the challenges the organization is currently facing and understands how recent decisions have caused deep concern in the community regarding the organization's capacity to be an effective partner in the community's economic development strategy. The CETA board also recognizes the need to reflect on their mission and challenges, both past and current, as a way to identify the best way to act. In that light, the board has activated a task force. This task force will examine CETA's status, its value, its brand, and its mission. Jeff Dygert, Auburn City Manager, Jenny Haynes from City Planning, Steve Lynch from County Planning, and myself, as designated by the chair from Cayuga County, as well as Ryan Pine from the CETA board, will serve as members of this task force. The task force will have their first meeting next week, and I can provide an update to the legislature at September's planning committee meeting. At that point, I'm hoping we can engage in discussion as more information will become available at that time. The board appreciates the patience of this body while they or we assess and strategize the future of economic development in Cayuga County.
Thank you. Questions for Aileen? If not, we'll wait to hear from you. All right. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Any other reports from the legislators? Okay, if not, chairman's report. I want to thank everybody that spoke tonight. We had a lot of different conversations and I appreciate every one of them. So I always start off with thanking the department heads, the employees, certainly the legislators. I say this every meeting and I'll say it for the next 4 meetings. Unless you're in this building, you really don't realize what everybody does every day in this building. And not just this one, all our county buildings. But they work very hard. They're dedicated. They work their 8-hour shifts and they do it very well. And I really appreciate everything they've done. I was a chair of a department head chair for 12 months or 12 years as a sheriff. I never realized what went on in this building after those 12 years until I got here. I know how hard these people work, how hard the department heads work. We all better appreciate it because we're very lucky to have them. So I will say that until January 1st. Micron, we're still working on it. Some people still don't believe it's going to happen. I am not one of those people. I think it's definitely going to happen. I think they're putting a lot of money into this and not going to throw that money away. So I totally believe it's going to happen. We've got a meeting coming up in a couple of weeks, the whole committee. We've got 4 subcommittees that are working very hard, and I appreciate those committee chairs. There's a lot of things happening very quick with Micron. I believe this county is going to be very successful because of that. I think we're going to get businesses. We're going to get people moving into our community, people living here, working here, shopping here. It's got to do nothing but to help Cayuga County and all Central New York. But certainly all we care about right now is our county, and we're working very hard to get everybody and everything we can to come to Cayuga. The audit, I want to thank everybody that worked on the audit. It was a great audit. Luke Said everything went well, as usual, and I wouldn't think anything different, but there's a lot of work. Grace, you and your department, Lynn, and everybody in your department, Grace, thank you all very much for working on that and doing a great job. I want to thank all those department heads and the county attorneys for filling in, the DSS attorneys. It's been a hectic few months. We need to hire 3 new attorneys, but it's not working out right now. So Chris and his staff, Rich and Fred, and certainly Brittany have worked very hard, not only doing county business, but DSS business. Appreciate it. And some of the other department heads that filled in for other department heads that we hadn't hired yet. And it's not easy to hire in this day and age. We do have some openings. We're making progress. All our department heads have been filled, every one of them. And we couldn't say that many years ago or many months ago. I want to thank Riley here. I want to thank Riley for still continuing our fire academy and our fire tower. It's coming along great as far as I can see. Riley, anything you'd like to add, an update on that or anything?
Nothing further at this time, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for doing that.
Good answer.
No presentations.
Good answer.
I think Andy said that earlier, I'm not sure. And our county building committee, that has been, what a project. It's been 18 months now, we've been working on this, 19 months. We had a big meeting this morning and we're continuing. It's taken a long time, it will take a long time, there's a lot to it. We found out new information this morning that there's a lot to it. So we will continue, these people that work in this building and live in this building deserve a better building, I'm convinced of that. And it will happen, so we just have to have some more patience. And as far as the elevator, I'm in touch with Gary every day. Gary here? I want to put him on the spot, I think he's on the video, but Gary and Ed have been talking to those people every day. I know the company's worked hard. We all know that the parts are outdated, sometimes they have to make them. So thank everybody for their patience with one elevator for the last 3 weeks. It's not easy when everybody walks out of here at 4 o'clock and has to stand a half hour and wait for one elevator. I appreciate it and I appreciate your patience. It will be working very soon, I promise you that. Gary has to make the part himself. The biggest thing coming up now, and Lynn knows this, I know this, and Shereen knows this, is the budgets. The budgets will be starting probably early next month. And Elaine and Shereen and I will be, Shereen and Lynn and I will be sitting down with every department head like we do every year and going through the budgets. It's not going to be an easy budget year, it never is. But I think last year it went very well. All the department heads were very understanding, and I think they will be this year. So I appreciate that. And that, in closing, that's it. So let's go on to the resolutions. Start right off with Ways and Means, Hans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ways and Means has 6 resolutions. They've all been approved by the committee, and I'd like to bundle them.
No, 6 has to be 2/3.
Okay, 1 through 5.
Move 1 through 5.
Second. Discussion 1 through 5. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Pass, thank you. On 6.
Number 6.
Move it.
Second.
It's 2/3, everybody. Okay, so you want,
If you guys are
all agreeable. Yeah,
all agreeable, then.
okay, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed at all? Nobody opposed? Pass, thank you. Elaine,
Yes, I would like to continue to have friends tonight, but I would request a small executive session right now in regards to a particular corporation before I get into the resolutions.
okay, is there a second for that?
I'll second it, Clarko.
Any discussion?
You're unfriended.
I figured.
If not, all in favor of executive session? Anybody opposed? Okay. Short executive
That
session.
means I wasn't.
So you're saying there's a change?
Yeah, that's right. You can get back in.
Great.
Sure.
With all my fighting, I feel bad.
Okay, Heidi.
Hey, that was short.
Hello, Heidi.
You can blame Elaine.
Natural. That's gotta go in the box.
Is it at lunch? Like,
How'd you like that quick one?
Is it really good?
She's amazing.
Handle everything else. Sorry.
Well, I got it.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, everyone, let's get going. We made people wait long enough. Let's go. We made people wait long enough. Motion to come out of executive session.
Move it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Elaine.
Okay, Health and Human Services has now 12 resolutions. HH 11 and HH 12 were added after the meeting. I circulated a copy of both of those. HH 11 is to, it is a create and fill of a full-time staff social worker, but they're accomplishing that fill by abolishing a community mental health professional, which is a comparable title at the same grade. So 11 would be in essence asking to fill a budgeted vacancy that became vacant on the 18th of this month. Similar to that, HH 12 is to authorize the filling of one vacant full-time senior clerk position at mental health, also a position that was vacated on August 18th. So if I could get a motion for HH 11 and 12, and then we can get those two out of the way.
So moved. Second, Basile.
Any discussion? HH 11, HH 12.
Just a quick one.
Go ahead, Andy.
On the 11, so they don't foresee bringing back the position that's.
No, for some reason, my understanding, Andy, it was kind of a crazy title at the same grade, but yes, when they're getting rid of that title, abolishing it, and just going with a staff social worker at the same grade.
All right.
Mark?
I guess that's my same. Andy basically asked my question. You said they're changing the title, so that's why we say it's a create and fill?
Yes, my understanding is they don't have another staff social worker. They had this position. This position is being vacated. They don't want to fill it with a mental health professional title, which is the same grade as a staff social worker. So in order to get a staff social worker hired with those credentials, they have to create a new position because they don't have one available. So they'll create that position and abolish this one. For some reason, this particular individual who is gone now was in a title called mental health professional. I don't understand why. Maybe there was a CASAC involved with it or not.
Chairman Daley.
Yep. Oh,
You want me?
yes, that would be wonderful.
So that title had some stipulations around the licensing, so they had to have a KSAP,
Okay.
a substance use counselor, and they had those credentials. So moving it to a staff social worker, we would have an easier time hiring for that. It opens the pool up to all licensed, master social workers.
Without the KSAC requirement.
Correct. So we would be able to hire easier with that title.
Further questions?
So it's a 1-for-1 with no backfill for the old one because it's no longer, and they're both the same grade.
Correct.
Anything further? If not, all in favor, HH 11, HH 12.
Aye.
Any opposed?
There's a name change. I was actually for it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Elaine?
Then the other resolutions, HH 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'd offer them up as a bundle unless anyone wants one separated.
I'd like to separate out HH 10.
Okay, so could I get a motion for HH 1 through HH 9 in a second?
Move it.
Second.
Any discussion? 1 through 9? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Yes, thank you. HH 10.
HH 10 is to authorize the Director of the Youth Bureau to enter into a contract with Helpra Inc. For LJ's Safe Place, using the ARPA funds we gave to the Youth Bureau.
Move it. Second. Discussion.
I'd like to enter into the record an amendment to this resolution where instead of a 2-year contract at $30,000, we look at a 1-year contract at $15,000.
Second, the amendment.
Discussion.
I guess just for a point of clarification, after the 1-year period, there could be a possibility of moving this again if that's the
Correct. I think
pleasure of the body.
I'm a member of the County Youth Bureau, and I believe this allows the youth body an opportunity to, in 1 year's time, to look at the use of funds, the rent use of funds, before going forward in a second year.
Jim?
Yeah, I was gonna ask how that gets managed, since we're a legislature of 15 and we're now gonna go down to a legislature of 11, and we're gonna pass that on to some folks that may or may not be here. How does that take place? And the ARPA funds have to be spent by a certain time or allocated and so forth.
Chris?
I could speak to that, I believe, just from the perspective of government operations. I think we cannot bind future legislatures, so it would be their prerogative anyway. I think someone could correct me if I'm wrong. I think we have till 2026 to disperse the remember. So it would be the
2024 to.
We have to.
Dedicate
2026.
26 spend.
This money has already been dedicated to the youth board, so it would just be for them to
Exactly.
fund it.
So in a short answer, I think the response would be that would be the prerogative of those whom return for the subsequent legislature.
Okay, Jim, you all right with that? All right. Okay, all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, all in favor of the resolution as amended?
Aye.
Is that an aye or you got a question?
Now, there's an option.
Anybody opposed?
I'm opposed.
I'm sorry, Trish, you're
I'm
opposed. Okay,
opposed. And I would like to state why I'm opposed.
absolutely, go ahead.
This money was set aside for the Youth Bureau from ARPA, and there has been no process or opportunity for other not-for-profits to apply for it in our community. I know that our normal annual OCFS funding of around $70,000, we got $270,000 worth of projects from youth organizations to apply for that 70,000. There's a lot of are out there, and I think we should follow a fair process and allow everybody the opportunity and weigh those projects according to some kind of system. I appreciate what you guys are doing. There's obviously a need in the community. I'm a no vote on this tonight.
Thank you for your explanation. Okay, let's move right on. Go into government ops, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Government operations had 4 resolutions. 1 and 2 passed through both committees. 3 and 4 were added at ways at the request of Mr. Schwab. They were time needed to be handled in a timely manner, so they didn't get a chance to go through government operations, but they were approved in ways. So I would offer GO 1 through 4 as a bundle at this time.
Second.
Any discussion, 1 through 4? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Pass, thank you. Planning, Bob?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Make a motion authorizing senior planner due to resignation.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, discussion, PL 1. Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, passed. Public Works, Andy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public Works has 2 resolutions. They've been through both committees and passed, so I'd offer them as a bundle unless.
Move it to seal.
Second, Mark.
Discussion, PW 1 and 2. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, passed. Judicial, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judicial and Public Safety has 18 tonight. AP 1 needs to be amended tonight on the floor. JP 8 was pulled at committee. JP 17 was tabled at committee. I would like to offer JP 2 through JP 7, JP 9 through 16, JP 18 as a bundle. They were passed on both committees. unless somebody wants one.
Second, Calargo.
Did you go?
Any discussion? Has everybody got what Mark said with these resolutions? Okay, any discussion? If not, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Yes, thank you, Mark.
Okay, JP one, there was a error in whereas, and I'll just read the change. Whereas it is necessary to fill a supervising emergency services dispatcher position. The change is the number of the position. It went from, they have it listed in the resolution as 1248. That is an invalid number. The correct number will be 1921. And then down in this first resolve, the position number again was an incorrect number. The correct number is 1921.
I'll move
Mr. Chair.
JP one to
And I think Mark just made a motion to amend.
be amended from what he said.
I seconded what Andy did.
Okay, any comments or any discussion on the amendment?
Fixing the numbers.
Everybody okay with that? All right, all in favor of the amendment? Anyone opposed? Yes, thank you. Okay, now in favor, I do vote. We get a motion and a second for the resolution as amended.
I'll move it as amended.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Pass. Thank you. Mark?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, that looks like it's in unless anybody's got any other business. I appreciate all the departments.
And did you have a public hearing, Mr.
Oh,
Chair?
yeah, close the public.
It was added. It's just the appointments.
Oh, okay.
It's just the one fire advisory appointment.
Okay.
Fire advisory.
I just got the update. Okay, I got it. Ledge one. Motion for ledge one.
Move it.
Move it.
Second? Who seconded it? Aileen? Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. Anything else?
Public hearing.
Public hearing is closed at, what was it, 7:07? 7:07, public hearing will be closed. Thanks, a motion to the,
To adjourn.
Hey, I think Riley should make a presentation.
is there a second? All in favor? Thank you, everybody. Thanks, department heads and everybody else for waiting for us.
Next month, you can turn it up. You didn't have any for discussion. Now you're up for next.